Hey there, I am off to Kentucky. It's going to be a super long drive, but I'm very excited to go meet Farmer Jesse and everyone else there at the No-Till Growers Workshop. So we're just kicking off the event this weekend. I am so excited.
Is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
I thought we were just getting some beers.
Are we actually hanging out together right now?
I think so, a little bit.
Yeah? Alright, we're getting some beers, we're getting some food. We got a lot of cool people here.
Yeah. Alright. It's gonna be great.
Alright.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah, welcome you all. It's amazing that, you know, we've got this really awesome group of people together, and Daniel came down to present for us. So welcome, thank you all for coming. I'm super excited to do this. This is like, to imagine that a year ago I called Daniel and was like, so I got this idea. Do you want to do a podcast episode with me? And he's like, yeah. And then now a year later he's presenting in front of 70 people in Kentucky. So it's super cool. We're really excited about this. Other than that, you all, welcome Daniel Mays from Frith Farm all the way from Maine.
Thanks. Awesome to be here. I'm really excited for this. Excited to learn from you all too. So looking at nature as model, there's kind of these principles of soil care that come to mind. Number one, nature is really good at maximizing photosynthesis. As farmers, our job is pretty much to harvest the sun. So photosynthesis is that mechanism, and if we're not maximizing that, then we're missing out. We're not reaching our potential. Increasing biodiversity, when left to our own devices, nature will sort of continually increase the quantity and diversity of life of a given place. So ideally we could do that too as farmers. Aside from natural disasters, nature keeps the soil covered. So maybe we don't want to emulate natural disasters over and over again on the farm. Let's try to keep soil covered. And then also minimize the below ground disturbance to that soil ecosystem. And soil coverage. This also, I feel like I didn't fully appreciate. I sort of always heard that, like, oh yeah, keep the soil covered, that's good, otherwise it'll like compact a little bit over the winter or something. But soil coverage really is, a lack of coverage is what starts the erosion process. Even if you have flat land, even if you don't notice the erosion actively like flowing off your farm, like it's happening if your soil is bare. So this is a quote, which I'll read really quickly, sorry. Water falling as rain on bare soil dislodges silt and clay particles by its impact. These are taken into suspension and carried into the tiny pores and channels between the soil particles as the water makes its way downward. Very shortly, the filtering action of the soil causes the openings to be clogged by the particles. Water can no longer move downward through the soil, so it flows over the surface, carrying with it the dislodged silt and clay, and erosion is actively underway. Goes on to say, a protective layer of litter prevents this chain of events by absorbing the impact of falling drops of water. After the litter becomes soaked, excess water trickles gently into the soil surface. No soil particles are dislodged. The water remains clear, pores and channels remain open, and surface flow is eliminated. I think that summarizes it beautifully in this radical, cutting-edge quote from the USDA's 1938 yearbook. Yeah, so even just a single leaf on top of the soil will stop the suspension of those soil particles. So it doesn't take a foot of wood chips or leaf mulch or whatever, just anything, or a blade of grass, whatever. Just keep that soil covered with whatever you can. Nature's principle of minimizing disturbance. Really, farming requires some kind of disturbance, especially vegetable farming, right? We're not gonna create a self-sustaining ecosystem of vegetables. Vegetables are annuals, they're nature's band-aids. They require some kind of knocking back on this successional progression, since annuals are in here. Otherwise, fields grow up into shrubs and trees, and we'll end up with a much higher photosynthesizing state, but fewer vegetables. So it requires some disturbance. We need to impose our will on the land to some degree to grow vegetables. Which is why some people argue we shouldn't grow as many vegetables. But the goal, I think, is to apply the minimum disturbance necessary to achieve the desired successional response, which is to grow vegetables. So let's find that smallest disturbance necessary we can apply. Tillage is pretty overkill, in my opinion, for that.
So, Rough Draft Farmstead started with my wife and I. We met farming as apprentices. It was my second year as an apprentice. It was her first year as the apprentice. And we met at Bug Tussle Farm in southern Kentucky. And we worked together all season, and then I asked her to marry me at the end of that season. So it was a pretty fast courtship, but yeah, we started this farm in 2012. And this wasn't here. This is only our third season on this property. So it's relatively new. The buildings were here. Those two that we'll go see in a minute. The house is a mobile home that we've covered. So now it looks like a house. And then we put up the tunnels and stuff. That building in the back was there. It was about $110,000. If we bought it just over the river, it would have been like $1 million property. Because I was telling some folks earlier, Woodford County is like where the Kentucky Derby winners come from. So super expensive horse country. We're like on beautiful limestone, soil, and it's just like incredible here in terms of growing grass for horses, and it's beautiful. So anyway, that land is super expensive, but you come over the river just like 5 minutes and you're good. So that's what we did, and we found this property after living in Bug Tussle, Kentucky. We were totally off grid. We lived, we had a market garden there, and we worked with our neighbors who were our mentors at the place where we apprenticed. So we worked there for a couple years, and then we came here to, after our first son was born, we kind of wanted to live closer to our family who all live in the Lexington area. So that's what we did. We came over found this property kind of on a whim, just happened to be in the area one time, and it's relatively flat for this area, for Kentucky. Kentucky's like a giant slalom course. So we got a relatively flat spot, and the soil was great, prime soil according to the NRCS, and a little bit rocky, which tends to be typical of this place. But yeah, no, we bought this property 3 years ago, and so we've kind of been building it up ever since, slowly. Buying property just sucks up your capital. I kind of, in some ways, like Hannah and I always talk about, maybe if we could do it all over again, we'd probably do it the exact same way. That's how we were. But if we could really, really do it, and we didn't have that option, we would probably go back and rent land for a long time and invest our capital in our stuff, and then buy a farm, because now we're having to farm. We have some stuff, but it's a very slow process, and capital is such a huge part of it. A huge thing that we always feel the effects of is our low capital investment in the beginning. So anyway, that's kind of just the basic rundown, but I kind of want to talk. We have so many different things going on here. A big portion of the reason that our farm is somewhat experimental is that's the way I like to farm. I don't want to farm in a very linear way. I just want to play. That's what I love doing, and if we can play in a way that doesn't affect our income too much, we do a lot of it.
I just want to share a couple of snippets from the No-Till Growers Workshop. It was an absolutely fantastic time. All the people were just incredible. Daniel Mays was awesome. He had a super cool presentation. He's doing some really cool stuff on his farm in Maine. And just the biggest takeaway for me was just the people that were there. The gathering of people was just so cool. Everyone was awesome. There was so much energy, people all trying to do the same thing and really make a difference in the farming world. So For all those people that showed up, thanks for coming, and it was super cool. I will be posting the presentation and the farm tour on the Patreon page at some point soon. If you're interested in that, go check that out. But otherwise, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
My name's Eric, and I'm a no-till grower. They're making me do this.